Hi, I'm Teja Gerken with Peghead Nation, and today I'm here with a very cool Santa Cruz H13 model guitar. The H13 is a unique guitar in the Santa Cruz lineup. It's been around since the late 70s, and it was one of the first models where they really started to sort of combine some of these vintage influences with some really new ideas, and in the result really creating sort of a guitar that's become kind of a signature Santa Cruz model, and really kind of veered away from the influences that were used to create the guitar into something that really stands on its own. So let's start with just a little bit of history about the H model. The H was originally conceived by way of a custom order done by Paul Hostetter back in the late 1970s. Paul was a Santa Cruz area luthier and musician and guitar repair person. Paul left us several years ago, but the legacy of his guitars continues. Paul had a Gibson Nick Lucas, an early Nick Lucas guitar that he wanted to have sort of a modern version built out of, and he approached Santa Cruz to do just that. And in the process, Santa Cruz kind of built one of their most original, unique instruments. So just as is the case with the original Gibson Nick Lucas, the Santa Cruz H has a 13-fret neck joint. It has a fairly deep body, much deeper than most small body guitars, and as such really creates a much bigger sound than a lot of small body guitars do. The 13-fret neck joint puts the bridge right in the sweet spot of the lower bout, and of course Santa Cruz doesn't do exact copies of any vintage guitars, and this guitar is a great example of sort of that approach of taking a classic template, if you might think of it that way, and creating something that's really quite unique in its tonality. In the case of the H model, Santa Cruz came up with a hybrid bracing that is an X bracing that is both scalloped and tapered, and really very light in the case of this guitar. I stuck a mirror in there and I was kind of surprised how lightly braced the guitar was. The guitar has a long scale, which in the case of Santa Cruz means 25.375 inches. So slightly shorter than a Martin long scale, but really only by a hair. We have a slotted peghead with Waverly tuners. We've got the Santa Cruz logo right here in the peghead. Completely plain ebony fingerboard, and you can see the gorgeous sunburst finish on this. And interestingly, the purfling on the guitar is what Santa Cruz calls their S29 H13 purfling. It's kind of a multicolored herringbone purfling, and I believe it's something that they first started doing on this model, and it's now, of course, one of the options that Santa Cruz has. And speaking of options, I should say that this is, for us, kind of a rare moment of having a completely stock Santa Cruz guitar. A lot of times when we've had Santa Cruz guitars for demos here at Peghead Nation, they've been slightly or more radically customized versions of standard models, and it is kind of cool to see what a standard model is like, because of course it adheres to the same quality standards and choice of woods and everything. It's just something that is straight of the way that is listed in their catalog. And there are many options that you actually have for customizing a standard model without an upcharge, certain wood choices, certain specs. So it's definitely worth taking a look at it. But this guitar is a completely stock H13. And by that we mean it has gorgeous mahogany back and sides. It has a Sitka spruce top, a super tightly grained Sitka spruce. I already mentioned the slotted peghead. We have a pyramid bridge with a fairly small footprint, ebony bridge pins. I like that they've chosen an OM style pickguard on these, which kind of gives it a unique appearance as well. Black and white multi-ring rosette, Ivoroid binding on the body and the fingerboard, and we have the same S29 material, herringbone style material that's used for the purfling, also on the back strip between the two halves of mahogany. The guitar has a slightly V-shaped neck, so kind of a vintage feel in that way. A little bit more pronounced of a V than some. 1 3/4 inch wide nut, and just really a very fun guitar to play. You may have seen my demo a couple of years ago of the Santa Cruz H13 Happy Traum. That's the Happy Traum signature model, which is very similar to this guitar, but it has a redwood top, and that gave it a unique tonality, and I love that guitar. And this guitar is very similar. I, of course, can't A-B the two because I don't have the redwood top version here, but this guitar has that very light response, very fun to play fingerstyle on, the way I was just doing in standard tuning. The long scale gives it nice string tension, and overall the guitar just sounds a little bit like a bigger guitar than it really is, and the body depth probably has a lot to do with the way it kind of punches above its weight, if you want to say that. It has a nice, beautiful round mid-range with great balance and just great note separation and just this lovely presence. Really nice to kind of hear those notes bloom when you're playing single note lines like that. So super fun to play, really historically significant instrument in the Santa Cruz lineup, and one of several H model options now, of course. There's also the standard H, which is now a 14 fret guitar, and for a while they were making a 12 fret option of these as well. There's of course different wood options that you can choose, but this is the standard H13 with a 13 fret neck joint, the long scale, the slotted peghead, the pyramid bridge, mahogany back and sides, and just really lovely guitar all around. I think to go out, I'll play the guitar a little bit more in dadgad tuning, just because it's fun to play that way, and it's such a lovely fingerstyle guitar with the 1 3/4 inch nut and the lovely response that the guitar has. Definitely recommend you check one of these out. It's really one of the most iconic standard Santa Cruz models, and if you're lucky, you find one at a Santa Cruz dealer to play one for yourself. So that is the Santa Cruz H13. If you are seeing this on YouTube, consider coming over to Peghead Nation, not just for our gear demos, but also for all of our lessons and courses, not just for guitar, but for many other stringed and fretted instruments. And we'll see you very soon. I'll go out playing a little bit more. My name is Teja Gerken, and I hope you enjoy this demo.